Robin, you recently published a paper detailing a new construct, pivotal mental states. Could you describe for our audience what exactly that is and how it sort of relates to the larger question of psychedelic treatments?
Yes, sure. I suppose that in a sense it evolved from trying to understand what natural system psychedelics as sort of unnatural, in a sense, perturbations are working on. Why does that system exist? Under what conditions does it upregulate or become engaged outside of the context of psychedelics? So in a sense, the ideas and the data that fostered the ideas were sort of, related to psychedelics, but about sort of contextualizing what psychedelics do. And so for me, this notion of, and it could have been called a number of things, but pivotal mental states is referring to a few key criteria. One, that these states are hyperplastic. And so within these states, there is an exceptional ability for the mind and the brain and behavior to be changed in relation to the conditions that those systems are in during that period. And also that those changes can be particularly marked or dramatic. And so notions like psychological transformation that have been written about very, beautifully in the literature, in psychology literature, I'm trying to frame in a more neurobiological way, as Rakesh was saying, trying to address different ways of looking at the same phenomenon, whether it's psychological, neurobiological, but trying to do it within the same piece. And what I discovered while researching around this was that stress is a particularly reliable or particularly reliable conditions in which these pivotal mental states, defined by hyperplasticity, sensitivity to context, and an upregulation of the serotonin to A receptor system. Stress is a reliable, natural, if you want, way of inducing these states. And that makes sense to me in terms of the phenomenology around, transformative psychological experiences. They're often preceded by crisis, intense stress, prolonged stress. And so for me, working these things out, and it's a hypothesis, it's there to be tested, help me understand why we might have, this this system in our brains and bodies that can be engaged under particularly challenging conditions, where a period of intense plasticity might help us, because really maybe our lives literally depend on our ability to be exceptionally adaptive, because whatever strategies, cognitive, behavioral, aren't working, and maybe our life is in danger in some way, and something needs to give, something needs to change. And so for me, it's sort of understanding, outside of the context of psychedelics, what can happen in the brain that can induce, what changes, what processes can play out that induce something akin to a psychedelic-like experience that seem to engage the same pharmacological and other neurobiological mechanisms that psychedelics kind of hack or hijack.